Hey everybody, it's Mike Sullivan with Born to Shine. Today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Leslie Coe, and Leslie is the activities manager over at a beautiful school district called Albuquerque Public Schools in beautiful Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Leslie, thank you so much for carving out time with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. I love your whole platform. Anytime that I get to talk about our school districts and myself, I am always happy to share a little bit of insights.
Yeah, amazing. So excited. And what was your journey like, Leslie, to become
Well, you
the
know
activity?
how they always say never?
Right?
I said never. And that's why I have one of the most untraditional adventures to where I'm at. Years ago, I was working as an athletic trainer for semi pro hockey and pro rodeo. I do still work some pro rodeo, but I always said, I'm never going to be a teacher. I don't want to teach. I'm not going to do it. And that's when karma and faith stepped in.
Mm.
And my hockey team went dark for a year. They decided they were going to build a new arena. We were going to do different things. And I didn't want to move. I was young. I was in my 20s. I have a very close family. So one of my cousins said, go be a substitute teacher. They need subs. And I was like, okay, I'll go sub. And I started in an elementary class. And they're adorable, but they're not my grade level. They're just, there was something. And middle school, I don't want to say scares me,
Mm.
but they've got their own world.
Mm-hmm.
And high school is where I found my jam.
Mm.
So, long story short, I went to a high school that kind of had a bad reputation in town. Oh my God, you're going to teach there? And I said, yeah, I am. And they embraced me. It became my familia. And I ended up staying in that high school for 12 years. I worked up from a substitute teacher to a class sponsor to activities director. And before I took the activities director, one of the reasons I was able to chase both dreams was our principal allowed me to still have time to go play rodeo athletic trainer.
Mm.
When the activities director's job came up, I knew it was time to pour my whole heart and soul into it. So
Mm.
I stayed at Rio Grande for those 12 years. Ironically, this position at the district opened, and my boss called me. And I sent him to voicemail, and I called him back, and we were chatting. And he goes, well, I'm sorry to bother you in the summer, but what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm actually on my honeymoon in Florida. And he goes, why did you call me back on your honeymoon? And I said, well, I knew it was important because you never call
Mm.
unless it's important. So organically, it just came from there. I was lucky enough I got this position, and I just celebrated my first full year here in September. So we are rocking and rolling.
That's amazing. I love it. That's such a cool story too, Leslie, because you had your career with the hockey team, with the rodeo, which you have no idea. I think is so cool. I love rodeos, and you were led right down this other path. And I think you mentioned earlier, so the elementary they were adorable, and it wasn't for you. Middle
Not,
school
not my
was great,
jam.
right? A little scary, and then you got to high school and you went, wow, this is my familia. That's so.
Well, and that's the cool part about it, right? Our high school kids are so close to being out there in the real world.
Mm.
I think sometimes we overlook giving them an opportunity to see the real world, to
Mm.
have those real conversations. So my students and my demographic, we had those conversations and we had those struggles, and it opened up my eyes and it opened up their eyes.
Mm.
And there's still students I talk to this day from those first classes, and kind of makes me feel old because they're getting married now and they're having babies and they have careers in the military and they're all doing successful things. So it's really a cool circle to see.
That is cool. That's so awesome. And
Yeah.
Leslie, when you were K-12, was there anything that you struggled with? For me, it was anxiety, it was depression, I was bullied. It all started in third grade and it didn't
Yeah.
stop until I went to college. So I was having all these big feelings in this little body, and I just struggled. Was there anything that you
You
went?
know, there was some, and I didn't realize that it was a struggle at the time. And I look back on it and I'm like, wow, because I had such great support. But from the time I was in kindergarten to fifth grade, I
Mhm.
had to go to speech class twice a week.
Mm.
And I even had to work in the summer. And you wouldn't think now, talking to me as much as I talk, I'm a talker, that I had those struggles. And I did have the kid in kindergarten, I'll never forget. She's like, you talk funny. I don't want to be around you.
Mm.
But one of my best friends, Jackie, came over and she's like, I want to play with you. And we have been friends all of these years. She's got a beautiful daughter now who makes me feel super old, and
Mm.
we have a 22 plus year friendship. So
Wow.
for every negative person out there, there's a positive person.
Amen.
But those were about my only struggles. I was really lucky and fortunate. I had great teachers, great family, great friends. So
Mhm.
I didn't have the struggles that some of our students have.
Right. And that's it's beautiful how you well had Jackie, right?
Yeah,
That's so
yeah,
cool. And then it's also beautiful how you see that you had all the support, but some of your students may not, and that you want to be that for them, right? And build them up and
yeah.
let them know that they do matter and they have they are important and that they can go after their dream. So that's so cool.
Well, and that was a huge thing for me at the school I taught at. I didn't care if we got everything in the lesson done.
Mm, mm,
What was important was, and my students knew this, they had a safe space that they
mm,
could come to.
mm.
Some of those students didn't have the support, didn't have the food, and that is you hit the nail on the head to give these students the opportunities they don't know they have.
Right. Amen. That's so awesome. That's so powerful. And that's what students and even adults connect with when
Yeah.
they know that you care. Now there's a connection. Now they're really going to listen. Now they're going to learn and grow together. So that's really beautiful. And then, in a perfect world, what would you love to see more of? Let's say pretend we had a magic wand and we could do whatever we want
Oh my
for,
goodness, where do we
right?
start?
I know,
Um,
emotional support, mental support.
yeah,
What would it
and
be?
that's changed, right? Like
Yeah,
from the time, because I think we're about the same age. I'm not going to
right,
say how
right,
old I am, but you know, when I was growing up in school, we didn't talk much about mental health, or
right.
it was a dirty word,
Same.
or it was just a chapter in the health book. And
Right.
I can tell you, and I want to brag on I have 128 schools in my district.
Hmm.
13 of those are high school, traditional high schools that I work really closely with. And they have 13 amazing activities directors. And those activities directors have heard the call and the need for mental health, and
Hmm.
they have implemented it on a school level at all of their schools.
Mm.
And to see that and see their support, we know that those 13 schools aren't all alike, but they're doing what their school needs. And it's so powerful to see how they're doing that and uplifting these schools. So,
Love that.
I mean, just more teachers who are there for the kids, because they always say, I'm here for the kids, but some of them at the end of the day are there for a paycheck. So
Mm.
I want to see them put their money where their mouth is,
Mm.
be there for the kids.
Yeah. Amen. I love that. That's beautiful. And if there are any final thoughts or something that's on your heart, Leslie, where you're just
Yeah.
like,
So
yeah.
I was lucky. Like I say, I had an amazing family support. I had really strong role models as
Mm,
kids,
mm,
both male and female.
mm,
And I'm going to tell you one thing that somebody told me a long time ago, and they said, never tell yourself no.
mm,
And that is huge. So don't tell yourself no. Don't tell your kids no.
mm,
It could be the wildest, craziest idea of them wanting to do a project or something like that. And your admin's going to hate it. It's not going to work. But don't tell them no, because no is a goal crusher and a dream crusher. And if my mom had told me no when I said at 14 I was going to go work with a hockey team as a stick kid, she'd have said, my dreams would have been crushed.
mm,
She said, okay, get an interview. I'll drive you there. She had no idea that the coach would give me an interview, and I got lucky that I got in.
mm.
So don't limit the kids. Don't limit yourselves. No is a great word if you're Nancy Reagan and you're saying no to drugs, but that's the only thing you should be saying no to. Don't limit yourself.
Love it. Leslie Coe, thank you so much for your beautiful heart, for how much you care about your students. I mean, it just is oozing out of you. It's awesome. And thank you for just sharing your story. It's really
Yeah.
powerful and inspiring. So thank you.
Of course, thank you so much, Mike, for allowing me to come on and share it. And I hope we get to work with you very soon.
Absolutely.
You were born to. You were born